Behind the locked doors of an upscale Delhi home, a violent breach occurs without triggering a single alarm. The victim was a 22-year-old engineering graduate from IIT. She was living with her family. Her father is an officer with the Indian Revenue Service, while studying for the highly competitive UPSC exams. When her family found her, the reality of the intrusion became clear. She had been sexually assaulted, then strangled with a mobile phone charger cable. This neighborhood is defined by its security and its status. Yet in an environment designed to keep the world out, a killer managed to bypass the perimeter and reach the home's most private spaces. Police investigators recognized the pattern of an internal breach immediately. They looked past the external security logs and went straight to the employment history of the household staff. Their primary suspect became a 19-year-old named Rahul, a former domestic worker who had been fired from the house a month earlier. Rahul's dismissal came down to chronic financial friction. He had a persistent habit of borrowing money from the other staff members and refusing to pay them back. Using neighborhood CCTV, police tracked his movements outward from the crime scene. Within hours, they located and captured him hiding in a hotel across the city in Dwarka. A disgruntled ex-employee returns, commits a fatal act of revenge, and is swiftly caught. The case appears resolved. But the details of his arrest actually open up a much wider, darker timeline. During his initial interrogation, detectives discovered a critical flaw in their assumption. Rahul hadn't been waiting in Delhi for a month planning his revenge. He had just arrived from out of state. This map illustrates his path from a village in Alwar, Rajasthan, directly to the east of Kailash home. Tracking his last 48 hours, a second crime emerges. Point A marks a brutal sexual assault in Alwar, occurring just hours before boarding his transport to Delhi. Two distinct, violent attacks separated by state lines and mere hours. The isolated revenge theory falls apart, replaced by the reality of a rapidly moving, cross-border crime spree. Looking closer at the Alwar assault, police realized this was no random home invasion. Rahul knew the victim. He was close friends with the woman's husband. They spent time together regularly, often sitting in the home playing Ludo. The connection went back even further. Rahul's family used to live in that exact house as tenants, creating deep, multi-layered ties between the two households. He used that historical familiarity to his advantage. The trust he built over years of friendship and tenancy granted him the physical proximity needed to carry out the assault. He relies entirely on pre-existing relationships. He targets people who already trust him, using familiar access points to bypass suspicion entirely. Joint Commissioner Vijay Kumar has been reviewing these two separate timelines, developing working theories to understand the suspect's psychology. The Delhi murder points to targeted resentment. A young man, publicly disgraced among his peers for unpaid debts, returns to the site of his firing to inflict harm. The Alwar crime, however, looks like pure opportunistic violence, an innate criminal mindset seizing upon a moment of vulnerability in a familiar setting. This logic model tracks how the suspect merged these two drives. The predatory opportunity from Alwar collided with the lingering grudge from Delhi, resulting in a single, devastating path of action. While investigators prepare for a final interrogation, the current profile suggests a severe psychological escalation. A routine grievance over debt appears to have transitioned into a predatory mindset that targeted anyone within the suspect's reach. The sheer velocity of the violence is staggering. In the span of 48 hours, across 2 different states, committing 2 rapes and 1 murder. The catalyst for all of this was incredibly mundane: a few unpaid loans to coworkers and a standard dismissal from a domestic job. A standard dispute mutated into unchecked violence in a matter of hours. Over 1 weekend, an ordinary grievance permanently shattered 2 entirely unrelated families.